Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Always good to see Amy Miller from Ohio Means Jobs. Good morning.
Good morning. Always good to be here.
Well, we're finishing up a year, starting up a new one.
Yes.
A lot of times people put on that list of whether or not you do New Year's resolutions, but goals, maybe goals in the new year, a new job.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of a tall order is that?
It's not too tall an order. It's a perfectly reasonable offer. You know, I think that when you look at the unemployment rate, and I looked it up just before I came, so I'm like, oh, what's the latest? I bet you, Susie, would like to hear this. Mm-hmm. And here in Stark County and in the state of Ohio, right now, the unemployment rate is about 4.6%. So it's incredibly low.
Very low. That sounds like people not working just don't want to.
Yeah, it's just, and then, of course that's not the case, but it's just amazing right now how low it is. So if you're thinking about getting a job, you're thinking about getting a better job, you're in a really good spot. And the beginning of the year is an especially good time to start searching.
Mm-hmm. Are people hiring right now?
You know, one of the misconceptions people have is that, oh, they're not hiring right now. You know, you look at the seasonal jobs and people think, oh, well, you know, the right now everybody's going to be laying off because the seasonal stuff is going to be done in a couple of weeks here. Mm-hmm. But that's really not the case. There are lots and lots of companies that know for January 1st what their fiscal year is going to hold. They know now what they're going to be able to hire for, what positions, what's their budget. So the process is actually getting started now with a lot of companies doing hiring. So if you're searching now, you're kind of ahead of the game because you're putting your resume in maybe even before jobs are posted, maybe before employers are thinking, well, I need to get this, I need to get this on OhioMeansJobs.com. I need to get this on Monster.com because you're ahead of the game. If they see your resume and you're the perfect fit, well, why do they need to advertise?
They can just go for it.
Exactly.
Do they not need to advertise? There's nothing like legal that they have to put one out there?
No.
They just see the fit.
Yep. You know, there are some types of jobs that are government jobs that maybe are required by law to be posted. But for most jobs that there is not a government contract involved, they might not have to post those jobs.
Well, and it's so difficult when you put something out there and you get just laden with resumes to have to start to weed through them. True story. Helping out an organization that was wanting an administrative assistant. I said, oh, we'll put this out. We'll post it out there. 200 applications by the next morning. And they were a little mad at me. Because what do you do with that?
Sure.
But how do you begin to make yourself stand above everyone else if 199 other people are vying for the same position?
Well, there's a couple of different things that you can do. The first one is making sure that your resume stands out by making sure that it's correct, that it's formatted correctly, and that it's the latest trends. Resumes have changed so much in the last couple years, and that traditional, objective statement at the front, that's outdated. You really should not be doing that anymore. You really need to be focusing on your skills and how the skills that you have match up with the job that you're applying for. So many people will turn in a resume, but they turn in a generic resume. They have a one-size-fits-all resume for everything that they apply for. How you're going to make your resume stand out to an employer is that you match your keywords that are in the job description, match the words that are in your resume. And you can do that very easily. Pay attention, folks, making sure that when you're applying for jobs that you're making that resume fit. It just takes a few minutes to do. And yeah, nobody really likes doing resumes. I understand that. That's okay. But taking those few extra minutes to make sure that you match and that you stand out with that resume are going to make all the difference.
How important is a cover letter?
It still is important. A lot of times an employer wants you to write a cover letter, and it gives you a chance to talk about how the things in the resume match the job. They're looking at a resume, like they're scanning. They're doing kind of the quick go through, make sure that there's a match. But your cover letter is your chance to really point out the things that they valued in that job description and how you have it. So it's a good connector. Now, not every employer needs one. And depending on, there's a lot, Susie, of applicant tracking systems out there. Do you know what I'm talking about by applicant tracking systems?
A little bit, but let's tell everyone.
Yeah. So an applicant tracking system is a lot of employers now are having you apply online, and then they're having you post your resume online through that application. What the computer then does is it scans your resume and it scans the job description, and it looks for those matches.
Words that are the same on each.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. So then it gives you a score and kind of passes you through. Well, if you don't have that matching, you may be the best person for the job, but your resume is not going to get through the applicant tracking system to actually see a pair of human eyes. Nobody's coming in the back then and then, we just need to check them just for the safety. No, they're not doing that. It's just straightly going through that computer system. So a cover letter is a nice extra piece that you can put on there that it gives you another opportunity to kind of hit some of those key points, those key skills, and how you match up with the job.
It still seems a little impersonal, and people feel comfortable when they can connect with a human being. Is it a good idea to try and find out also who works there? Who might I know on the inside? Could they give me a good word or put in a good word for me? Is that a good idea or no?
It totally is a great idea, because networking is the most powerful tool that there is in job search. I mean, far and away. Because think about yourself. Would you rather, work with somebody who you really don't know, or somebody that you have heard from a friend that they have experience with, they know they're a good person, they can vouch for them? It's the same way for any employer. They would rather have someone who has got a skill background that somebody that they work with and trust knows. For them, that's a huge win. They're going to be more likely to give you an interview, more likely to give you a chance. Absolutely, take advantage of your network. And, that brings up a good point, Susie, with the holidays. Mm-hmm. This is a great time to connect with people, and when you're not working, a lot of people get down on themselves, and they get down in general. And they think, well, I don't really deserve to go to holiday parties. I don't deserve to go out and do things. I'm not working right now. Take advantage of your network. Take advantage of making those connections. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy yourself. But use those opportunities to connect to your network. Let them know what you're looking for. It doesn't mean to go and, Debbie Downer and be depressed and this is a stressful time. But use those connections. Talk to those people and just say, hey, I'm looking for a new job. Have you heard of anything?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're with family and friends more now than maybe at any other time of the year.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that, you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you never know who you know. And getting on LinkedIn is a great, online connection as well. Mm-hmm. Getting back to your professional network, seeing who's out there and where they're working at, making connections with those companies. It's just a really smart idea to keep yourself moving.
You said a little bit earlier that some people have not listed yet what their needs are going to be, but people are applying anyway. Should you, I guess, not wait for somebody to say, I need this? Can you contact an organization or a company for whom you have always wanted to work and say, I have always wanted to work for you and just want to get my name out in front of you just for such an occasion if something should open up? Is that a good idea, or do you just look desperate?
I think it's a good idea. Right now, the economy is so good.
Yes.
And employers are looking for good people. They don't have as many great candidates coming through the door. So to have somebody who has that little bit of extra something, that they're motivated enough and they're saying, I want to work for you, boy, that's going to really mean a lot to them.
So I'm sensing that you need to do a little bit of homework and know quite a bit about the company that you are saying that to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, this is where the internet is so great, because between LinkedIn and Facebook and then the company's own profile on their website, there's going to be so much information out there about that company. No matter what job you're looking for, no matter what field you're in, you're doing yourself a grave disservice if before an interview or before you really start applying for jobs that you haven't looked into that company and haven't gotten information. Because one of the first questions I say myself as an interviewer will ask somebody is, what do you know about my company?
Exactly.
And the crickets, where they don't know. That's always
Wish
like,
you,
really?
wish you knew more.
Yeah.
Right. Or why would you like to work here?
Exactly.
Isn't it terrifying when you're hiring? Because you are picking somebody that you're going to spend more hours of the day with than your family.
It's so true. It's so
scary.
true. You want to get the right fit. You want to find the right person. And that's not easy to do. So making sure that somebody who's got a network connection, that's like a relief. That's a breath of fresh air to an employer.
I don't know that you have been in this position, but I've hired people because they seem to get along so well with the other members of the team, and I figured the rest I can teach you.
Yes.
That's true too?
That's true too.
I'm not the only one who
You're
thought
not
that way.
You are not alone. Really, you got to think about work as hard skills and soft skills, okay? And those soft skills are really hard to teach. And that's your getting along, your timeliness, your attitude, how you are, I mean, how your personality fits in with the job. A lot of the hard skills, yes, you can teach over time. Some things absolutely you're going to have to go to school for. I'm never going to be a doctor. Sorry, folks. It's just never going to happen.
Me as well.
But a lot of the things that go on in different work environments can be taught. So maybe you've got a foundation, maybe you've got some of the skills, but then you've got that great personality or that great fit, like you were talking about, Susie. That is just the absolute right connection. The rest will come.
Are there trends of who is hiring right now, or is there some kind of field that it would be smart to get some special training in with a little downtime before you jump back in?
The two big areas just continue to be healthcare and advanced manufacturing. Those are two areas that just continue to grow. And I think that with both of those fields, when you think of, for example, nursing. So what do you think about right off the bat? You maybe think about an RN.
Right.
You don't have to start that much because, you're talking about at least 2 years, maybe 4 years of education. Well, maybe the best way for you to start is with a state-tested nurse aide. Maybe the best, which is, just a couple weeks of training.
Wow.
Maybe the best is start as a licensed practical nurse, an LPN. That's going to be about 11 months of training. So something that's not going to take as long, but is going to come out at the end with you have a much better earning potential and having your foot in the door in that field. So, yes, I think that you don't have to start with the huge degree and the huge job. That's great if you have the time to do it. But a lot of us that are working and, maybe we've lost our job and we're not sure where to start, look at those beginning jobs. Look at those entry jobs and those that don't require a lot of training.
Any advice for the person who the finish line keeps moving? And I'm thinking of a person who perhaps they went into education, got a master's degree, and then found out, it's hard to get hired with a master's degree. I should have waited until after I already had a teaching job and then go for the master's degree. And now a master's degree is not required at all. Sure. That used to be something that all educators had, but now that's changed. So for a lot of folks, rules have changed. And I just picked that field out of the hat. I'm sure that's not the only field that it's changed. Any advice for such a rapidly changing world in which we live?
What we've all got to do in our work lives is look at our transferable skills. So the skills that no matter what job you're doing can transfer between different career fields and different places. For example, my background where I work now is a lot of administrative work, a lot of management work, but then also a lot of public speaking, a lot of doing, great things like this, which are a lot of fun to me. But if I were looking for another job, maybe some of my transferable skills are I am very detail oriented because I have to be. You can't go out and talk about stuff in public unless you know what you're talking about. So I have to be organized. I have to be very in charge of time and aware of where I am at time-wise. I do have the management background, so maybe that's a transferable skill. So looking at those different skills that can be applied to different areas and finding your best fit, not just looking at my degree,
Yes.
here's my one headlight, but looking at both headlights, looking at both options that are out there. Again, a lot of employers are starting to be willing to look at on-the-job training. So instead of, like we talked about, instead of just having that hard skill and then bring somebody in, okay, maybe I've got somebody, like maybe someone has a master's degree and I know that they can teach, and maybe research and development is good for them.
A great trainer or something.
A wonderful trainer, this is somebody who really knows what they're talking about. So finding that convergence between the skills that you have and some other jobs that are out there, I think that's going to be really important for those folks.
This is great information. We're visiting with Amy Miller from Ohio Means Jobs. Going to take a short break. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.